Okay, let's make a new user on this machine, and then we'll let this guy log in from some remote machine. So as the administrator, I'm logged into my Fedora machine here, and then I'm going to take a look at those scripts that I have. So the first one is going to be this. We have here add user, and then we give him a username. So for the demonstration, let's just go with username, right? But this could be whatever. So I'm just going to add this user. And now, if we go to the home directory and we do an ls, then we see there's this username directory in here. And if I list everything, the owner of this is now this username. So this user is now set up in this in here. Let's change his password. So I'll use this command, this password for the username, and then I'll give him a password. I'll ignore the warning, just repeat that password. And there we go, password updated successfully. So that means I'm able to switch user, and if I pass in username or whatever username that we picked, it should ask me for his password. Oh, that's the wrong stuff. And now I am this user. Let me show you something. So if I cd into here, the root, and I try to do something here, let's say copy bin bash to some backup bash, that's going to tell me that I don't have permissions for that because these things are owned by the root. But there is this keyword that we can use to make it so that the current user sort of assumes the root user role, and then he can do stuff. So let's try this. Bin bash, and it's going to be backup bash. And then let's see here, I'm going to pass in this password. That also doesn't work. This new user doesn't belong to the group of users that can make use of the sudo keyword. So this user is pretty much just a normal user. It's not an admin or anything. He can go to his home directory and make stuff here, test, whatever, right? That's for this username. So in his home directory, he can do whatever he wants. Also, bash, this is available to him. Let's exit this all the way back to my admin user. And now this guy needs to be able to log in with SSH with a key, right? So I'm going to switch to the root user because I need to go into this new user's home directory. Okay, there's this directory in there. So let's make a new one. .ssh, because we need to add that public key in here. And I'm going to do SSH keygen -b. Let's just do this. And then the type is going to be RSA. I'm going to call this username key. Passphrase, we can just do something easy like password, for instance. And there we go. We have this this username key and username public. Okay, so I need to cat this username dot public. I need this content. And then in my SSH directory, I'm going to echo this content into my authorized keys file. And let me just copy this over just like that. And now if I go back up and get this private key, I need this to be on the client. So this is currently in the username directory, so the currently logged in user. What I'm going to do is, as the root user, I'm going to move this file, username key, into the home directory, because I'm the administrator. I need to set this guy up for his machine. So if I log out of the root user, I do ls, there's going to be this username key in here somewhere. All right. So as the admin user, I put this guy's key in my home directory. So that means on his development machine, I'll probably have a user there, right? But that doesn't really matter. If we open up his laptop and I SSH into that machine, I just need to pass in my own key. So I'm going to take this Fedora key, and then the username is going to be my admin user. And then I can pass in the passphrase and log in as this guy. Now I can cat the username's key. Tells me I don't have permission to do that. Let's see why not. This username key belongs to the root. Okay. Well, then I am the admin, so I can make use of this keyword to do this. So let's just do it like that. All right. I'm going to copy this content and I'll log out of here. In my home directory, I'll just do this echo again, and it'll be username key. Let me put this content in there. Now, if I do SSH-I username key, username at 192.1, I get the same stuff. Let's see here, change mod. I can now log in as this username. So I ran through the whole business of setting up the permissions and everything. You'd probably want to be logged in as this current user, but whatever, right? We've set up this user to be able to log in with SSH. The problem is, or the situation is, this user can change directory to the root directory and do ls, and then he can go and see all this stuff. And then he might be able to go into bin and do ls and see all this stuff. Right? It's quite... He can see all of this. So depending on what he's able to do with it, we might not want that. We might not want this user to be able to go snoop around like this. Let's say he goes into the lib directory and then he sees all this stuff. So there is there is something that we can do about this. It's known as a jail. It's a change root jail. What that means is we're going to create a sort of sandbox area on this server somewhere. And then users that are configured to be to make use of this jail, they're going to see that as if it's the root. So if I do cd root with this user, present working directory, it shows me root and everything. That's what he'll see. He won't see anything else. But on the server, it might be a whole thing. Like we can have a directory in here, something like this. So change root jail, and then this slash here, that's the root. And that's the root that that other user who's been put in here is going to see. So let's set that up. There's quite some stuff, quite a few things that we need to do with it. So I've prepared some script. We can take a look at it. Let me just get it out here. So here it is. These are all the commands that you could run for this thing, and then some configuration here at the end. So up first, let me see if I can put this somewhere like that, and then I need this virtual machine sort of like there, and then we can start doing this thing. So I'll be setting all this up here. Let's say that this is going to be my change root jail. So I'll create that directory. And now if we take a look at that, so cd here, we see there's this change root thing here. And I can go in there, and there's a jail directory. I can change into there. ls, there's nothing in here. All right. Let's see. User add. We've already added the user that I want to put in here. Then I need to create a new home directory for this user. So I'll create a username. I'll use my change root jail as the new root, and then home username. So pretty much recreate the directory structure of a normal server experience. And then I'm going to change the owner. So with the change owner command, I'm going to set that to username. This will be the actual username, but because Username is the actual username. I'm just going to use that. Right, and then there's a couple of things in here, so we can go through them. Ben, lib, lib64, these are just binaries on your machine. So if you're running on Linux, like this, and you run some like ls, that's a binary that's stored in here. So bin, you can do ls grep ls. Okay, now can we see everything? But it's a binary in here. It's a program. And then the lib directories, these are the library files, the shared files that are used by those binaries. Something similar to bin. etc, this is for configuration. Dev, this is the devices. Temporary, var, this is where log files and so on goes. And then we have this proc thing and home. And we already have a home directory. So I should actually clean this thing up a bit. Same thing for user and then log files. But I'm going to go for a very minimum setup and then add things as I need them. So we can pretty much skip all of this stuff. I'll show you what some of these files do. I don't need any of this. Let's see here. When this user logs in and he's put into this jail, he'll need access to bash. That's like the default sort of shell program. But if we're going to put him in this jail, there's nothing in here. There's a home directory, but I also need the binaries and all that stuff. So there's this method here, shell method, that I can use. So I'll just copy this in here to set that up so long. And this is where I specify the change root directory. The binary we're going to pass in as an argument. This thing will make sure that the directory is there and it's created. Then actually copy over that binary into the jail directory. Copy the libraries, and these are the ones with symlinks, and then ones without symlinks. And yeah, let's see if this works. So initially, I'd like bin bash to be copied over. So now if I do ls here and cd into bin ls, there's bash in there. Let's see if I can run it. That kind of does something. But we haven't set this up to be a jail yet. All right, so that's set up. Let's do something else. So I'm going to cd back to root and then change the owner of this jail to the root user, and then set up some permissions. So we can do this one, this one. Let's see here, it worked with bin, and then I don't have all this other stuff. And then temp, I don't have a temp directory yet. Then we need to add config to our sshd config. So let's do that. Sudo vim etc ssh sshd config. Okay. I'm going to insert something here. So let's just make some room. For terminal access only, we're going to take this. So I'll paste it in there. And now we need to pay attention to these things. So I'm going to uncomment all this stuff like that. I might as well just make the tab again. This username here needs to match with the actual username. So for now, it's just, it's sort of a placeholder, but I've made this user here. And then we have this change root directory to this jail. Okay, let's write this file. And as always, we need to restart it. But just for now, you see here, this user is logged in here and he can see all this stuff. So if I change directory to the root, to ls, there's all this stuff, image, lib, mnt, whatever. Let me log out there. Then systemctl restart sshd. Now, if I log in with this guy, I get this. It looks completely different. ls doesn't work anymore. Bash also doesn't work anymore. What's going on? Well, it pretty much worked. So if I do present working directory, it tells me that it's home username. Let's see if make dir works. That also doesn't work. So let's go back to that script. Make dir is a binary, so I can go back in here and then just pretty much put that in there and back to my user. I should have access to bin mkdir. And then we're going to make a directory called test for change root. So if I do ls now, or bin ls, that's also not working. Let's try then to copy this over. It seems to log me out every time. bin ls, we see there's this test for change root. That's interesting. Let's go to change root jail, do ls here. We can go into the home directory and then we see if username is in there. If we do ls there, it's change for test root. So that means that this user has successfully been put into this jail. He can't go snoop around anymore, you know. So let's solve this problem with this. ls is not a command, because usually we just run ls and it works. There is a path. So if I do echo path, we see this whole thing. I've added some stuff in here myself. But somewhere in here, there's going to be a bin entry. Let's first echo the path that this guy has access to. See, this is his path. So now if I export path equals path, the existing one, and then add this bin entry in there. Now if I do ls, I can run this command in here. So this user is now put in this jail. And it's going to take some setup from the administrator side. Hey, whatever directories and binaries this guy needs. And also if he needs any devices and config files. Let me show you something interesting. So if we go back here and I do ls-la, normally I'd like to see these username things here, but instead I get this number. Okay, what's that about? Well, that relates to these things here, especially this one. So let's try to copy this over. Right, I first need to make a directory. So I've copied over this password file. Now if I do ls-l, I'll get to see those usernames. So this password file gave me those usernames. The next thing, the next number that we see here, or at least in here, that's the group. So if I copy over that group file from the host machine to ls now I get to see the groups as well. So it depends on what's required. But now this is a sandbox area for this user to do his work in. And it's change root jail. So just a couple of things from the script that's important. The first thing is going to be this, to make that new directory. Then adding a user, creating their home directory, adding some of these directories if you need them, like this bin, for instance. These configs, sure. Probably the most important one is going to be this copy bash and Linux utilities, plus their libraries. And if you need to find out, maybe some of these binaries don't work, tells you something can't open file or whatever, that's usually if it can't find the libraries. So if you want to see which library files are used by a program, you can use this command, ldd, and then you pass in the program that you want to query for. And if you do that, then you get to see this stuff. So bash makes use of this libtinfo, libc, and then ld linux. So you need to put all of these files into the lib directory or recreate the structure in the jail, and then bash will work. Same thing goes for, let's say, something like ls. This one uses even more stuff. So that's it for change root jail.